Hey everybody, it's time for another video. This time it's about Zohran Mamdani, the communist who's running for mayor of New York. Now I know it's pointless to point out that he's a communist because nobody knows what communism is anymore. Nobody knows what a communist is. So I think it's more useful to just look at, what are some of his ideas? What does he want to do, and why are those ideas dumb? And I mean, he's got a lot of dumb ideas, but I think that that's one of the main problems, of course, is that he's basically a dumb college kid. He's like a dumb rich college kid with no life experience. He went to college, learned how to be a good communist, and then he got a government job spending other people's money, and he's never really, he has absolutely no business experience or life experience pretty much at all, and he's a dumb kid, and it's just mind-blowing to me that the people of New York would put basically a dumb college kid in charge of one of the biggest, most important cities in the world. It's just stunning to me. But let's stick with what I'm talking about. Let's just talk about the government-run grocery stores, okay? So first of all, what is the problem he's trying to solve? Food is too expensive. Well, of course, to him, to the communists, to the Democrats, I mean, let's face it, Democrats are all communists. To communists, Democrats, anytime anything is too expensive, it's got to be because corporate greed. That's the only thing. That's the only way anything gets too expensive. Now, of course, intelligent people know that there are a lot of different things that cause things to become more expensive. The big one is, of course, monetary inflation. When you expand the money supply, when the government expands the money supply by spending too much, by borrowing and printing money into existence and expanding the money supply, that devalues every existing monetary unit, which makes in relation to real world goods and services, and that drives the price of everything up. So you got it. That's what we call that's inflation. That's real monetary inflation. Then you've got taxes and regulations. When the government taxes everything, all those taxes get built into the price of everything. So no matter what you're buying, every time you buy something, you're paying thousands of government bureaucrats. So you're giving government money. A lot of that money goes straight to the government. The other thing is regulations, regulatory compliance costs. When the government makes rules that everybody has to follow, then the costs of complying with those rules gets built into everything. So now, of course, communists, Democrats don't know anything about any of those things. They don't know anything about taxes, regulations, and monetary inflation. They think the only thing that ever makes anything more expensive is corporate greed. Oh, corporate greed. Those evil corporations who run the grocery stores. So what is Mamdani going to do? He's going to have grocery stores that are run by the government. So he's not going to deal with any of the problems, inflation, monetary inflation, regulations, taxes, not going to deal with any of those problems that are making everything more expensive. He's just going to focus on having the government run the grocery stores. So, because he thinks the profit motive is so all that money is going to profits. So, okay, let's think about how does a grocery store even come into existence, right? Somebody has to decide, hey, that neighborhood over there needs a grocery store. And then you have to find a building. Maybe you have to build a building or rent a building, buy a building. You have to modify the building, you have to upgrade the electricity, you install the coolers and the freezers and the cash registers and the loading docks, and then you got to go buy all the food, you got to put all the food in there, you got to pick which food you're going to buy. So you have to do all that, and then you only get paid if you make a profit, because the profit, So first of all, where do you get all that money to do all that stuff? Well, you probably get it, if you're a corporation that runs grocery stores, you probably get it from the profits you're making on other grocery stores, right? So, but then also the profits tell you whether or not you're doing things right. Profit and loss transmits information to you to let you know that you're doing things right. And you only get paid if you're doing things right. You only get paid, you as a business, you only make money if you're doing everything right. And, if you're making a profit. So, and you can only make a profit if you're doing everything right, right? If you got to be in the right place. You got to advertise right. You got to have nice lighting. You maybe have nice music. You have nice employees. You have a good location. You have good food, quality food. The frozen food is really frozen. The cold food is cold, and the fresh food is fresh. And all that kind of stuff. And so here's the key to everything. The government never goes out of business. So the government can do everything wrong. They can do everything wrong. Everything wrong. And here, the part of that a lot of people don't think about, because the government will never go out of business even if they do everything wrong. But it's very important, because you might actually get lower prices at the grocery store, at the government-run grocery store. You might actually get lower prices. But you don't know the true costs of those prices. You don't know, because it's being subsidized by taxpayer money. So you may go to the grocery store and buy a loaf of bread for $1, and you go, wow, this loaf of bread is really cheap. But you don't realize that, well, the loaf of bread was delivered because they only allow electric trucks, and the electric trucks cost 5 times as much. And your tax dollars are subsidizing all that, and everybody who's working at the grocery store is making $100 an hour, and there's 73 people in the back, they only need 2 people in the back, but they've got 75 people in the back, and 73 of them are in the break room and playing Nintendo, and you're paying for that with your taxes, but you won't know that. So. And when you think about taxes, well, where is the tax money supposed to go, right? It's supposed to go to the police and the fire departments and the sidewalks and the water systems and the street lights and all that kind of stuff, and the parks. And so you may notice that, well, everything else is suffering. Well, there's no money for the police. There's no money for the fire departments. The sidewalks are cracked. The street lights are out. The parks are a mess, because all the money is being spent to get you that cheap loaf of bread. But you don't understand that, because first of all, nobody is going to tell you that that's happening. Okay, nobody's going to tell you. If you're living in a Democrat-run city, well, the Democrats are never going to admit that they're wrong. All they're going to say is, well, we need more money. Oh, the sidewalks are cracked. Well, it's because we need more money. We got to tax you more. We got to collect more taxes. That's all they're going to say. They're never going to tell you the truth. And, because government people like, communists like Zohran Mamdani, they will never admit to you that they are the problem, that they are wrong. They're never going to say, I was wrong. All those ideas I had, they were terrible ideas. They were dumb ideas. They were all wrong. He's never going to admit that. And so everything is going to just get worse and worse. And you're not going to understand why. They're just going to ask for more money, which is what they always do. They always ask for more money. That's the only thing Democrats, communists know how to do, because communists exist to transfer wealth and power from you, the people, to themselves, the political class, the government, the political rulers. That's what they do, because they believe that they're the smart ones. I mean, fundamentally, it's about an arrogance, and this is why the Soviet Union descended into this kind of poverty and misery and death. For 70 years, the people of the Soviet Union suffered, because the people who were running the Soviet Union were so arrogant and selfish And they never wanted to admit that they were wrong about anything and that everything they're doing is stupid, even though everything they were doing is stupid. And everything Zohran Mamdani is going to do is going to be stupid. So, there's a lot of other things we can talk about here, but I just want to go over that one point. The government-run grocery stores, it's a terrible idea because, even if things are too expensive, because remember, the government, if the bread is cheap, they're going to run all the private grocery stores out of business. So there will be no private grocery stores. So then the public grocery stores will just run all the private grocery stores out of business because they can't compete, because they're not being subsidized by the taxpayers. So, all right, that's it. Just wanted to go over that. Something to think about if you're in New York City.